Hi, I'm Wyatt. And I'm Grace. And you're listening to Our Dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Lifestyle Asset University podcast. I'm really excited today to be here with Jeff and Jamie Child, one of our very first members of Lifestyle Asset University as it is today. And so I'm excited to introduce them. Guys, Jeff and Jamie, say hi to everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
They're down in, you can see the background. They've got palm trees in the background. They're down setting up one of their new lifestyle assets that they've been under construction with for a little while now, a little longer than they wanted to be. We'll talk a little bit about that here in the podcast, but I think they're excited to get it set up. To start, this is at the advice of Shelly, who works for me and runs our inside as our main client success coach, our client experience. And she said, Sean, you gotta have a little fun on the podcast. So I'm gonna hit you with some rapid fire questions. So these are really technical. You can't think about them. You both have to tell me the answers. So Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Coke.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Books or movies?
Movies.
Sweet pickles or dill pickles?
Dill.
Sweet.
Oh, all right. A little disagreement there. Crushed ice or cubed ice?
Cubed.
Cubed.
Board games or video games?
Board games.
Ooh.
Comedy or what'd you say, Jeff?
Tough. I'm a video game guy, I think.
All right. Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Comedy.
Baseball or basketball?
Basketball.
Baseball.
Facial hair or clean shaven? Jamie, be careful how you answer this because I'm sitting here with a beard.
Well,
And Jeff doesn't.
Jeff,
you
clean shaven.
So those of you listening, so what was the answer?
Clean shaven.
Clean shaven.
All right. Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Introvert.
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits.
Fruits.
Hunting or fishing?
Hunting.
Oh, none of the above. I guess hunting.
Scratch both of those. All right. Winter or summer?
Summer.
All right. I'm with you. Baked or mashed potatoes?
Mashed.
Mashed.
All right. Spring or fall?
Spring.
Rural or urban?
Urban.
Urban.
Oh, city folks. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Pie.
Ice cream or yogurt?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
All right. This is the most important one. Tattoos or piercings?
Ooh.
Piercings.
Been thinking about a tattoo.
Shut up.
News to Jamie. All right. You might show up with one, huh, Jeff?
A fun fact, neither one of us have any tattoos.
All right. Well, Jeff's thinking about
Not
it.
yet. Not
So
yet.
it might be short-lived. Book or ebook?
Book.
Book.
Money or free time?
Today, free time I'm into.
Money.
Chocolate or gummy candy?
Chocolate.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
All right. Okay, so we kind of broke the ice with a few things. We'll learn a little bit about you. But tell us where you're from. Tell everybody what where you're from, what you're up to, and kind of what led you to short-term rentals.
Go.
Sure.
Okay, go.
So we live in West Haven, Utah, which is northern Utah near Ogden. We're running a business and recently sold it. Jamie buys pre-made food and happens to be in a realtor's office and was talking to the guy about some realtor stuff. And
I went and got my real estate license to start doing something with that. So I was talking to another commercial real estate agent. We were going to do fix and flips. And so this guy's like, well, I just deal in commercial, but let me introduce you to Sean down the way. He does some of this other stuff. So started talking to Sean, and he was the one that actually introduced us to the lifestyle assets, because we were just thinking of buying houses and fixing them up and flipping them. But we learned a lot of cool stuff.
so Jamie comes home and tells me about this, and I'm thinking, this doesn't sound quite right. But anyways, go and meet with Sean and go and get thinking about it, and he explains it. I'm going, this is a hell of a deal. This is the kind of thing. So we started down that path.
Awesome. And that was about a year ago, right?
Yes.
pretty
So-
close to a year ago
Right.
that we did this. And then, so first, let's a little background. You guys you brushed over it, but you guys built a business from scratch, an RV dealership, and a really successful RV dealership with multiple locations here, and just sold that last year, right? Or was it this year?
Oh, yeah, actually, it was this year.
Yeah.
So I guess we started talking to you before we sold it, actually.
Yeah. And so you ended up exiting out of that business, and this is kind of that next phase for you guys, right?
Yep.
Originally, I know you were looking into other vehicles, other asset classes as far as real estate goes, and then we met and we started talking, and you guys got a little bit excited about this, one of the things that I always, credit you guys with from the very beginning is, in fact, I remember when you joined us, and it was really in the very beginning stages of what Lifestyle Asset University looks like today. We had been doing it and putting together their course for a long time. But when I met you guys, I was just doing, I think, version 4 of my course, and it wasn't all the way I wanted it. And Jamie was like, "Hey, Sean, I want to get into this." And I'm like, "Okay, you can do a week at a time," because I'm kind of building it ahead of her and trying to stay a week or two ahead of Jamie where she's at in the course, because she's like busting through it. I remember going through that, and now it's a little different today. Everybody has, all on demand, but you had to suffer through that whole 8 weeks during an 8-week course, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how that process went, and did what as you started getting into it. You guys tell everybody kind of what, when you put your properties under contract. You got into it and put some properties under contract right off the bat. Like, you guys are in a unique situation where you're looking to build a sizable portfolio, and sometimes as you decided to do some new construction. And so tell us about that process, how that's, because that's not always easy, right?
No. So we came down to southern Utah and found, we looked all around. I actually got, I think it was a Facebook ad. And I remember asking you, Sean, because you had some contacts down here, trying to get in touch with the people down at this particular place, and we couldn't get a hold of them. So we ended up, which was the sign of things to come, but we came down and checked it out. We checked out a lot of different places, but really liked this one for the location and the different property management options and amenities. But we looked at one, and it was, the guy was trying to sell us on a new building. It hadn't even started yet. So we were looking at one unit, and as we're walking around, Jeff says, "Why don't we just buy 4? Because there's 4 units
Sounds
in
like
one
Jeff.
building." So I'm like,
That sounds like Jeff.
okay. I was thinking 1, but 4. Okay, 4's good. So we called the guy back, and he got all excited. But this was back last fall. It hadn't even started yet.
No, I want to say it was October or November last year.
But this guy, the builder, kind of gave us some false promises, and, "Oh yeah, we'll get started on it right away. It's only going to take us 6 months," and on and on and on. And when did they break ground? Like, we went under contract on a piece of land, and they didn't even break ground till this spring.
Probably February
Yeah.
when they broke ground. And so it's a solid 3-4 months before they broke ground after we went under.
Yeah, it was a minute, right? That they took.
So in the meantime that we're waiting for, so it's a building, it has 4 separate townhomes in it. There's 1 5-bedroom, 1 6-bedroom, and 2 4-bedrooms. So 19 bedrooms total. While we're waiting for that one, the builder tells us, "Oh, I had some people back out on this other one." So Jeff's like, "Well, let's get that one up and going and making money until we get the other 4 ready to go." So we bought a 5th one that's in another building. It's just right across the street, but it's in another building of 4, but we just own 1 unit. It's 1 6-bedroom unit across the street. And that's the one we're in right now that we're pretty much done with getting it set up.
Just getting ready to go. Awesome. And what you guys did is, the area that you found that you liked is, it's a purpose-built resort, right? It's built for short-term rentals. It's got their own amenities. They've got their own, pools and amenities. But what you guys have done is actually taken your units or building your own little resort, right? Your own amenities, your own pool, your private area, which is really kind of fun. And I think there's going to be a lot, because these are not small townhomes. They're large, like you said. They're 5-6 bedroom units. So they can house a lot of people, and a lot of different angles that you can go with, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. If and when they ever finish up, it feels like it's like an eternity to get there, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully it's sooner rather than later. But as you started the process, what were some of the, when we met a year ago, right? You just met this guy in an office and didn't know anything about this space. Originally you were looking at multifamily stuff, I know, and some other angles of real estate. What were some of your biggest fears getting into the short-term rental space?
How are we going to manage it? How are we going to take care of it and make sure we get guests in and out? What kind of business do we really want to run? And I guess for us, this is a business for us, not a second home or that route. So
although I'd like to stay sometimes, but Jeff strictly says only business.
Only business.
No staying.
Yeah, that's again, that does not surprise me at all. Yeah.
Well, that was probably my biggest concern of, really, if in this model, you typically would spread your stuff out, and you wouldn't buy 100 houses all in one town. You typically want to have a couple here, a couple here, a couple here, a couple here to kind of diversify yourself in one, Now, how do you manage all that? It's not a hotel with 100 rooms all in one spot. You're spreading yourself out a lot. So that's probably my biggest concern of how do we scale this and structure it, and do we need property managers? Can we manage it ourselves? What different options do we have? As well, what is the actual demand for something like this? And at the time, I'd never stayed in anything besides a hotel, and it's never been an Airbnb or a VRBO type thing. It's always been a hotel. So I was a little going, okay, this is a different concept for what I'm used to.
Yeah. What, as you've been in it for a year now, you're not quite to that. You're just getting started on that marketing side, on the management side. I know what you guys are doing. What are some of the biggest fears now? Same, because you're just kind of getting into that, or are you, as you've been around it long enough, are you feeling like you're getting some answers there?
I feel like we've gotten some pretty good answers it's almost probably been a blessing taking a year, I guess. We've had a lot of time to think and get stuff in place and some processes, procedures of what we, again, put together all our thoughts. What do we really want? And then again, having a guy like you that we call up, hey, Sean, what do you think about this? Or what do we do on this? Or what do you do on this? And again, then you're telling us, well, I've got this other customer in 10 states over from us they're doing this and they've got this type of property, or so that's been extremely helpful to have that help.
Nice. And that's one of the, obviously as you go through this, I remember when we first met and you guys still want, to grow this portfolio and do this, but it's a little harder than it sounds to go out and scale, to set up 5 properties at the same time, right? It takes a lot more, you're going to spend a lot of time on that acquisition phase, and especially that setup and management phase before you actually get it to the market. And so to try to do 10 or 12 or 15 properties at a time, I have a lot of people, in your, that we talk to, and, a handful in your guys' situation that have the ability to go buy a larger portfolio, but sometimes logistically it can be, it's not as easy as it just sounds to go out and do, right? There's a lot of moving parts in the beginning.
No, I think I initially told you, if I remember correctly, that I wanted to do like 50 or 60 properties my first year.
Yeah.
And I talked to Jamie the other day and I said, okay, we've got to do 1, maybe 2 a month, and 1 a month is probably realistic, especially with new construction.
Yeah, I think that, and I totally agree with you. It's difficult to get more than 1 set up a month. Once it is, then it's great, right? And I know that, and Jamie, maybe you talk a little bit about this too, as you're on the management side, you're gonna kind of self-manage these ones that you've got down there, and that's a little different than what a lot of times we suggest a lot of people do, because frankly, I don't think a lot of people are cut out for it. And the ones that do tackle it in our group do a really good job. But not everybody's cut out to manage these types of properties. And there's a lot of moving parts to do it, right?
Yeah. No, and I think one of the reasons we decided to do that is we got out of the RV industry and we have time on our hands. And I know a lot of people, have full-time jobs, so it's just wouldn't be feasible, but we decided to try to tackle it. And I think one of the biggest things that I feel like's been a blessing for us is I found a girl down here that I can really count on for cleaning, that will help with whatever. And her husband actually is, he does maintenance. He has another job, but he can come and do maintenance. Like he came and did some pest control on our place just to make sure that the bugs are gone out of here before the first people get here. And so if you have somebody local, you got to find someone local that you can really, really count on, and that's reliable. And I think that's huge because the marketing side of it and, ordering and shipping and all that stuff, you can do that from other places, but you've got to have a good local contact. And that's one of the things that I was nervous about at first, saying like, yeah, we'll manage it. But until I found this girl, I was a little nervous how we were going to take care of stuff locally.
Yeah. Yeah. And finding that local partner there is huge, right? That's going to be huge for the success of this little portfolio down there down at Zions Village there. And make your job way easier, right? To be able to do the other stuff that can be done remotely. And, right now I know we're setting up, kind of working on the marketing stuff, and you're getting all your, getting ready to kind of take the marketing campaign and really put it out there. Tell everybody a little bit about your property. Take the opportunity to tell us where to find it and how we can look at it and where it comes on live at.
So I've got a website. It's elementszionvillage.com. And we can also get to it from just zionvillage.com too. But the one that we have ready right now, it's a 6-bedroom, 5 full bath house. It's about 3,200 square feet. It is a townhome, so it is connected, but it is an end unit townhome. And then in the community, there is, how many gallon pool?
100,000 gallon.
100,000 gallon pool. It has a lazy river, a little kid like splash pad area with a little like slide in the rocks. The pool area is pretty cool. They're supposed to, as this continues on, the construction, get like a pickleball court and different stuff. But we're located in Hurricane, Utah. So just east of St. George.
Spelled hurricane for everybody.
Hurricane.
For everybody who's not from there. It's actually hurricane, but we pronounce it hurricane.
Well, when you call the post office, they do say Hurricane, Utah.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a local guy down here, and we were going back and forth on.
Oh yeah. You're local, you can't say hurricane. They're like, "What are you talking about? Get out of here." Yeah.
But the reason we originally picked this location is because it's close to Zion National Park, and we originally our target audience was going to be international travelers. And that's another thing that I think you need to get used to is rolling with the punches, because obviously there's not a lot of international travelers right now. I mean, there might be in the future, but we're lucky because I think a lot of people in northern Utah are wanting to get away. So it's still like the occupancy rate down here is crazy just because there's still more local travelers than international. But we wanted to be close to Zion National Park, which is about 25 miles from here. But it's kind of cute. It's like not right in the hustle and bustle of St. George. We're kind of out in the small town, but we're still close to a lot of things. So
yeah, no, when you guys were going through that acquisition phase, I'm obviously really familiar with that area. We own a property down in that general area and love the proximity to Zion National Park. And, and another thing that there's very few properties down there, when we're looking at locations and we're looking at the profit drivers like the national parks and the local things that are going on, your proximity to the profit drivers is really critical and frankly better than most. 25 miles maybe to some people seems like a far away, but that's really probably the closest area with any real speakable amenities to Zion National Park. So it's a really great base camp area. But also that area, you guys, there's not a lot of properties that can house large groups. And so you guys are going to go after that niche a little bit, and specifically, as you've gone through that setup process and to deliver the fairy tale, we always talk about that unique customer experience. And you've talked about the elements at Zion's Village, and you guys have kind of taken that, the elements theme throughout your properties, which is really fun, but also targeting those big groups and allowing them to come have almost a resort within a resort is going to be really, really fun. And I'm really excited to see it come together. I think you guys have a really fun thing going on down there. But when is the fourplex slated to be finished?
I talked to the builder today, and he's telling me 5 to 6 more weeks.
Okay. So
8 to 10.
Yeah. So we'll do an update next year on the podcast. Hopefully it's done. Yeah. No, that's unfortunately, it's one of those things. We actually talked about the pros and cons of a new build, and we looked at the numbers, we looked at the build job, we looked at the resort that it's being built in. No question, the quality's there, and it's going to be an amazing when it's done. But the drawback of a build job is they don't always come in on budget or on time, and so you have to be ready with some of those contingencies. So. What any aha moments as you've gone through this process that you came in, you're like, man, that's, it was brand new to you a year ago. You dove in, the deep end, you dove in and in typical Jeff style, let's try one, and you end up with 5 within a month.
That whole building.
Right.
We'll buy the whole complex.
What are some of those aha moments you can share with some people?
Cheers.
I guess mine's right at the beginning when Jamie comes home and is telling me, I talked to this guy about vacation rentals, and I'm thinking, what in the world? And so I'm like, all right, I'll go to St. George and look around. And like the first day of this, I'm going, this is dumb. No, nobody does this. Nobody stays in these. And then I'm sitting here looking around and going, holy cow, it is full. It is. People are doing this. This is. And I start Googling Airbnb, VRBO, and reading about it and going, the growth they're having. And I'm going, where have I been? How have I missed out on this? Is really, I guess, my at the beginning going, okay, why didn't I start doing this 5 years ago?
Just the scope of the demand, right? Yeah. Where you were kind of unaware of it in the beginning. Yeah. Amazing. And it still shocks me how in demand this is. Even, this year has been crazy. Where we were hit was just such crazy stuff going on, and thinking that it's going to really affect and disrupt this industry. And it has in certain aspects, but the demand just continues to skyrocket. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
So I have one thing to add to that too. He said he'd never stayed in one before we started looking. But since then, like in the last year, we've stayed in a handful of Airbnbs. I think we purposely, or at least I do when I'm booking something, like want to stay in one just to see what the deal is. Like we've stayed in Moab, one down here, a handful of other ones, but mine, like we've stayed in some good ones and some bad ones. And so this is where he's like, I keep buying stuff, but you got to have it, like you want to create an experience so that people will come back. Like we stayed in one that I'm like, where's the towels? Like you had to go, people will just like throw these things together really fast, like throw a little couch in here and throw a bed over here and like, let's get it up and we're going to make all this money and rent it. But I think to get people coming back, you got to have unique stuff and create an experience or brand yourself to where they'll remember to come back and they'll have everything they need. Like I bought blow dryers, but I needed a blow dryer once and there was not one to be had. So if there's a stupid little cheap blow dryer, like I think that's going to be big for somebody if they come.
No question. And it's a great way to do it, is just go stay in them and see what they're missing. Sometimes we don't know. We try to do like that furnishings checklist that we have. We try to think of everything. We're constantly adding to it, right? Of, okay, you have to have this stuff. But give us some things. I know that you've been, like you said, you're trying to set that up and deliver that fairy tale, that unique experience, stand out from the competition. What are some of the things you're doing down in your property that you're trying to do that with and accommodate the guests? Like, little things like the blow dryer that many people, I don't think of that. I don't have any hair. So I'm
gonna carry the computer to show you something.
All right. I like it.
It's not quite done yet.
Okay.
But this was my idea. So it's a little bit.
You have to give us a description too, because some people are just listening to this.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you can see this very well. I've built, and it's backwards, but it's a welcome wall instead of a welcome book. So I've got our logo up there. I've got like our hashtag, our Instagram and Facebook. And we're just going to list, like, I went around and got all kinds of local restaurant menus, things to do locally. I'm going to put our house details, like the instructions and stuff. Yeah. And it's a whiteboard wall. We painted it with whiteboard paint, but it's just right here in the living room. So this is it's really messy right now, but it's right here in the living room. And it's just kind of like a local, so when a local spot, or, when everyone's hanging out here in the living room, like, what should we do today? Yeah. I kind of thought that would be a fun thing to just kind of spread it out on a wall.
For sure.
Instead of doing just a little book. So I think we're going to do that in all the units.
Love it.
Each one. And then another little fun thing I did, instead of doing an owner's closet, we built one in the garage, but I did a little playroom area just off the living room.
Fun.
Just in a closet.
For the kids, yeah.
Instead of doing the owner's closet right there. So
that's awesome.
Those are a few fun things that will.
Yeah, those are fun. We've got a wall like that in ours that's a selfie wall. So we've got a little selfie printer. And we've got, which like your guys' wall with the palm trees, like we've got one that's got like the, our logo and everything, and kind of painted up in the garage, and it's a selfie wall. And then we've got a whole wall like where you show that, and people go print their selfies of themselves doing whatever, and they go put their pictures up on the wall. So as it's growing, it's kind of cool to see everybody's pictures of people who have visited and what they're doing in the area. So that's kind of fun too. And that's what's fun about staying at others people's and seeing yours and seeing other people's, what these ideas that people have, and implementing them into our properties as well. And so that's fun to be able to do and see. And that's one of the big things that I feel like that a lot of people miss the boat on, honestly, is they stop at buying a nice property, and they don't take that extra step to really deliver the fairy tale, deliver a unique experience. People are looking for a unique experience, and sometimes it's just little things like that. It doesn't take a lot to, dedicate a wall to something like that, or take an owner's closet and make it a little playroom. Just little things that make it fun and unique. And then to the other, we're looking at a property right now, and we've got it's going to attract fly fishermen, and in an area that I'm really familiar with. And we're going to have a fly box for everybody that comes in of our favorite flies. And I'm going to have handwritten notes of the river and the rocks that I fish beyond, so things that other people aren't thinking about and doing, which is really trying to enhance that customer experience. And that's what we're trying to do with this, right, guys? This is not just the unique thing about vacation rentals is it's not just a real estate investment. It is, but it's their own little business. They're these mini businesses, and you guys are built a business and sold a business, and understand that all those different aspects of the business. But the number one thing that any business can provide, we all have like commodities that we sell, and our homes are essentially a commodity. There's a lot of other nice homes in every area that we're invested in. And the way to stand out is to deliver that unique customer experience and that unique customer journey. And so that's fun to hear that you're, putting that together and those pieces of the puzzle there. And that's why it's hard to do 60 properties in a year, right? It's difficult to put all that together so quickly. So awesome. So what are some lessons? What are some things that you say you wish you would have done differently? You wish you wouldn't have, it's just some lessons that you've learned along the way as we kind of wrap things up for people as they're considering this and listening to this.
I think it was somewhat of a blessing to be taking so long on construction because we had time. But at the same time, like, I definitely, at this point, if I can find furnished, ready to go houses, if turnkey stuff, and we can go in and put little touches on it or improvements, that would be, in my opinion, if it costs you more, it's the way to go. You're nowhere near the amount of work. The planning, you're just you're there, furniture's there. You're not trying to figure out how to get it, where to get it, making trips back and forth. If you can find turnkey stuff, I think that's Definitely.
It's a bonus for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything from you, Jamie, that you, any lessons or mistakes that you'd like to, share with people?
I know like in one of your sections of the course, there's, find good partners. So obviously like real estate and mortgage, but also, just be really organized and find good, like where to order stuff from, like I've got an Amazon business account now and a professional Wayfair account and just different stuff to keep track of things. And I'm a deal finder, so always trying to find the best deal and just kind of keeping your eyes open, but staying organized. So I'm trying to, with what we're doing now, I got with this wall, the people that did that, like they did those vinyl letters for me in like one day. So I'm definitely keeping those in my roll.
Yeah.
I don't have Rolodex anymore, but in my phone.
Nobody has a Rolodex. We know what you're talking. At least those of us with a little gray hair know what you're talking about.
Yeah. To just find good partners, like all the way around, not just real estate agents and lenders and stuff like that. Like, the cleaners and stuff, and take care of them so that because I don't know if you guys are like us, we're last minute on everything and we're like, oh, I need this stuff printed before we go down. And, if you have good relationships with some of these people, then I think that helps a bunch.
Yeah. Awesome. And I hear that theme echoed from a lot of people. First, just, have the key group of people, your dream team, right? Those people that you can count on in different aspects for you, your boots on the ground people, your cleaner, your maintenance, that are going to help you manage it. Those real estate partners, the finance partners, you never know when other opportunities are going to come up. Keep those relationships alive. This is always a relationship business. Every business is. And then the second thing that you mentioned is just having systems and processes to follow, right? This is a business. You should have some sort of standard operating procedure when it comes to going through this process. There's a lot of moving parts, and but it's not rocket science, right? It's something that you can learn and pick up and figure out. But it is nice to have systems and processes to follow as you put it all together.
And that's where your training comes in handy. So you can go through it all and then kind of tweak it to be your own, or to work well with each property. So that's kind of what got me started. That was kind of the backbone of all of it. And then you just kind of tweak it to your own properties or your own preferences.
Yeah. Awesome. And we, again, we've I met you guys about a year ago. We got, introduced through somebody else. You went through the process. We've become good friends now, and to the point where we're looking at deals and stuff together. And so I sure appreciate you guys. I appreciate everything you do inside of our group, but also just always, the relationship that we've been able to build and being here and sharing your story. And, we'll do some follow-up stuff. I'd love to, when the rest of the properties are up and running, I'm sure people would love to hear about them and see them. I'm going to post your guys' elements at Zion's Village in the show notes. So if anybody wants to go check out the property, going down to Zion's in National Park in Utah. And I mean, it's a great home base. And great if you have, if you run a business and you have, or family reunions and need a large space, they're hard to find. And that's really going to be your guys' niche down there, is those larger groups that need a home base and want to be together. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for it to be, up and running. So any final last words before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I don't have anything.
Come on, Jeff, you've got to have something. I mean,
Jeff just wants to buy more stuff.
I know, exactly. Jeff just wants more properties.
Anybody have anything for sale? He's in.
There we go. Okay, all right. That's what we'll do, Jeff. If anybody has properties for sale, we've got a buyer for you.
He thought we could throw this place together in 4 days and move on to the next one. It's taking a little longer than that. So he's ready to move on to
that. He's ready. Well, listen, guys, I sure appreciate it. I sure appreciate you guys joining us. And for all of you listening, thanks for joining us today. We'll be here same time, same place next week, and we'll wrap it up today. And again, thanks to Jeff and Jamie Child for joining us on today's podcast. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website?
Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodacy.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.